In the TV show Futurama, Mom is a tech tycoon who presents herself to the world as a kind, absent-minded grandma, but in private, she sheds her disguise and abuses her sons whilst plotting world domination. When billions are at stake, the disconnect between reality and performance can be huge. So when people realized Elon Musk was just paying someone to play video games for him, that shouldn't have come as a surprise. He sells himself as an autistic, absent-minded gaming nerd, not a ruthless businessman. So far, things are pretty straightforward: reality versus performance. But imagine if Mom suddenly changed her image. Instead of being a dithering grandma, she dyed her hair, got tats, and acted like an oldie who's down with the kids. Pretty bizarre, but that's sort of what Mark Zuckerberg has just done. Mark used to present himself as a bland, totally inoffensive person. Plain yogurt, unblinking eyes, grey sweaters, clean-shaven. In 2013, he told an audience how little thought he puts into his clothes. He doesn't want to be distracted from his job. Performance is boring. I am neutral. That was Mark's performance. But over the past few months, he has rebranded himself, changing his image dramatically. A bit of stubble, a new haircut, an appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now he attends private meetings with Donald Trump, and his companies are moving away from DEI and social inclusivity. Facebook is becoming aggressively masculine, whatever that means. Mark's shift from beige to primary colours has a bit more of a backstory than you might think. Over the years, he's been called to answer questions by Congress on several occasions, often describing social media basics to middle-aged senators whose teenage daughters could have explained all of this over the dinner table. Pallid, unblinking, lizard-like, the more pressure they put Mark under, the more he retreated into his untouchable neutrality. But gradually, he made concessions to the culture of the age. Certain words were banned, fact-checking departments were created, racial and gender inclusivity became important performative values. After Trump's surprise win in 2017, Mark played a balancing act, avoiding all-out war but taking the moral high ground on issues like immigration. Towards the end of Trump's first term, he began to firmly take the Democrat side. In 2021, Trump was banned for life from Facebook. So much for neutrality. Pushed in one direction over the past decade, Mark is now swinging right. He was due a rebrand anyway. The unblinking tech whiz was getting stale. The multi-billion healthcare fraud, Elizabeth Holmes, had tarnished his image as well by copying it. In 2023, the early signs of this shift were showing. Mark and Musk bantered about fighting each other in a cage match. By 2024, he was writing that Trump's response to the assassination was badass. On Joe Rogan's podcast, he acted the victim over Facebook's social policies. He was pressured into it by the Democrats. Now he could finally shut down the fact-checking and censorship. Mark was much more at home hunting wild game with a bow and arrow and fighting mixed martial arts. He prophesied an age of unneutered masculinity at Meta. Once again, Mark is making concessions to the culture of the age, but in a much more jarring and dramatic fashion. In 2024, Trump's latest book contained a threat to put him in jail for COVID funding believed to have helped the Democrats. Mark wants to protect himself and his companies from a vindictive president. He wants to maintain his place in the zeitgeist, but his newfound masculinity is also useful at Meta. In 2025, 5% of the lowest performing company staff will be laid off. Aggressive competitiveness is one way to sell that. At Trump's inauguration, Amazon's Jeff Bezos sat next to Mark Zuckerberg in the balcony. Steve Bannon said they were on display like Trump's hunting trophies. Others felt they were looking down on proceedings, like a new oligarchy. The last time a business group had this level of visibility in an American government was probably the 1920s. After tax hikes in World War I, the big American industrialists backed Warren Harding for president. On the slate, less government and business, more business and government. The top tax bracket fell from 91% to 25%. So began the Roaring Twenties. The rich got richer, the unions got busted, and then the party ended in 1929, when it all fell apart at the stock market. Roosevelt entered the Oval Office and declared war on big business in government. The unknown factor this time round is Trump. He seems to have his own agenda. There is a debate as to whether Mark Zuckerberg has made an ally or submitted to an emperor. Most people online were more interested in his glance at Lauren Sanchez's chest, or Elon Musk's accidental fascist salute. Both mistakes align with the image they are trying to convey. Mark, the testosterone-fueled He-Man, and Musk, the sincerely autistic tech nerd. And so the performance continues. But who fits where in the hierarchy behind it? We will have to wait and see. Hi, it's Arthur. Thanks for watching. If you like your news with a bit of historical context, why not subscribe to the channel?